Have you tried any special level up challenges? My newest favorite is definitely this one, leveling up through Fractals. Welcome ladies and gentlemen, Master of None here. If you're one of the OG viewers of this channel, you might remember that I've posted a unique level up challenge all the way back in October, where I would use a combination of special rules, a bunch of level up tomes and the Escalonian catacombs to level up a new character. The video I have for you today is basically an evolution of that challenge, or maybe more of a variation depending on how you look at it. But why even attempt something like this? Well, except for the fact that it might be something that is very enjoyable to you, I see a couple of other benefits. Firstly, you gain a much deeper understanding of your chosen class, since it forces you to make choices in traits and skills that will feel very impactful and will have a big influence on how the run will go. Secondly, the feeling of progression is just unparalleled. You'll be getting dopamine hit after dopamine hit. Green items will be exciting, getting new skills will feel super rewarding. It will make Guild Wars 2 feel like a vertical progression game for just a few hours. Lastly, the biggest benefit I see compared to popping 78 level up tomes back to back. The bouncy chests won't be annoying. On the contrary, you'll love them. Please, ANET, why can't we right-click those things to go straight to your inventory? Especially when they don't have a choice in them, like most other chests in the game. Those little level up diamonds are literally my biggest pet peeve when boosting a new character. So with that out of the way, how do you actually get started? It's pretty simple and one of the benefits compared to the first challenge. After you've created a character and went through the tutorial, you make your way to Lion's Arch. Stop at the bank to get about 78 level up tomes and then enter the Fractals of the Mist. Alternatively, if you own the best launch pass in the game, the Mistlock Sanctuary, double click that one, get your tomes, and the Fractal portal is right there as well. That's all you need. You can already get started. The drawback is still the same like in the first challenge. You have to be playing Guild Wars 2 for a while since you need nearly 80 tomes of knowledge for this to work. However, if you've been logging in for a while, done some PvP or World v World, chances are you have quite a few of these bad boys already. Once you're in the Fractals of the Mist, you just start playing. Our ultimate goal here is to hit level 80. You're basically free to choose with which Fractal you want to start. However, number 1 is generally going to be the easiest starting point. So that's what I recommend. The way this works is whenever we complete a section or an event as I like to call it, we'll get to use 2 level up tomes as a reward. Whenever we actually manage to kill the end boss, we get to use 5 tomes instead. At any point in time, you're allowed to reset the Fractal and start from the beginning to farm some easier levels if you feel like it's necessary. You'll immediately notice that killing stuff as a level 2 character in here takes a while. It definitely requires you to pay some attention, play more carefully and use the environment to your advantage. I quite enjoy this more methodical gameplay every once in a while, since it's not something that you experience in GW2 often. I also wholeheartedly recommend tackling this together with a friend. Grab some drinks, Buildcraft on what classes might be fun, based on cool combinations or an arbitrary stupid reason like we've done. We just wanted 8 identical, massive char mesmers to fill the screen constantly. I've done some testing solo as well, and for my taste, it generally takes just a little bit too long to kill stuff, or it gets too hard too quickly. Naturally, different classes will have an easier or more difficult time in here, but to me, that's the beauty of it. You get to explore all those nuances and get a varied gameplay experience every time. Mesmer was definitely a very fun one to do, since you get access to reflects, clones that can grab aggro, and just generally a lot of utility. My generation was pretty lacking though, so we often felt like we weren't doing tons of damage until we unlocked the second trade line. I absolutely love that part of the challenge. Getting hero points from leveling up and then deciding on where to best put those points is awesome. As an example, we knew that reflects would probably come in really handy for the end boss of the volcanic fractal, but at the same time, unlocking the correct traits would increase our damage dramatically as well. Making those decisions feels refreshing, because usually when you level normally, they don't really matter. And when you boost, you unlock everything straight away anyway. Having your choices have a big impact on the next 15 minutes is what makes this whole thing work for me personally. There was also the question of going for Condi or power damage, what weapons to use, etc. In the end, we actually had me going power, so that whenever we got a good power weapon drop, I could use it, and the same the other way around with the condition weapon. I mentioned earlier in the rules part that you're free to abandon a fractal at any time. If you feel like you've hit a wall, don't have the DPS for a section, or just simply missing the patience. This was actually the case for us when we tried to complete the second fractal. Those first champions have so much HP that we decided to skip it for now and go to Snowblight instead. This was much more manageable and gained us enough power to then go back to Uncategorized afterwards and actually complete it. At some point, we even decided to go back to the very first fractal, just to feel the power difference and gain a couple more easy levels. Since this is not an official game mode or anything, I encourage you to try it out and change the rules to your liking. Go in with 3 people to make it faster, or cut the level up tomes you're allowed to use after every event in half, if you're more of a masochist. I have to say, we hit a wall at the end of the 5th fractal, mainly because we didn't have the AoE damage to deal with the mobs in the intermission phase. And a little bit later, we decided to stop the challenge early, since what we really wanted to do that evening was to go into World v World with identical char mesmers, since that's what we did all the way back in 2012. This is not really relevant for this video, but I thought it was funny how after half an hour in World v World, we decided to make the exact same character again, but this time as a necromancer, since Celestial Harbinger just feels so much more broken at the moment. Honestly, I would love to repeat this whole thing in the future. However, the next time with the ultimate goal of completing every single fractal up to level 20, because from then on, agony starts kicking in. I don't know if it's even possible, since some mechanics tend to require more than 2 people, or just end up being way more challenging. You'd also hit level 80 way before that, but honestly that sounds super enticing to me, because then you still continue gearing up your character. Maybe you could even incorporate a rule to somehow start unlocking your elite spec. The world is your oyster really. That would be a way longer challenge though, and not something I would try to complete in one sitting. More like a character that you work on the side whenever you feel like it. Lastly, I just wanted to compare it to the other level up challenge I had posted. I would say that if you are trying this solo, go for the dungeon one. It's generally a lot easier since the mobs seem to have way less health. What I like about the Fractal challenge in particular is that it's more straightforward and you can get started immediately without having to level up to 30 first to enter the Scalonian catacombs. This also means that the progression feels way more gradual. The first 30 levels are super impactful, and that gets a bit lost in the dungeon challenge, since you skip all of that. Unlocking your first utility skill slot and then the second, you really feel that power spike. I'll make sure to have a link to that other video in the pinned comment, in case you haven't seen it yet and are interested in it. Be sure to let me know if you decide to try any of this and how it went for you. I'd also be super interested in any rule changes you would make, so let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching and hope to see you in the next one.